Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome everyone. Glad to have everyone here. I'm Jeff Heggie, and I've got my co-host Heidi Anderson from ECI Business Solutions, and we're excited today to have Devin Butler with us. Devin, I met Devin a couple weeks ago, and I was excited to get him on the show. So I just want to share his bio with you, and then we'll let him speak for himself a little bit, and we'll get to know him a little bit better. So Devin graduated from Davenport University with a bachelor's degree in business management and administration. He had a strong passion for football, playing all the way through college. And it wasn't until his sophomore year of college that he realized he also had a deep passion for entrepreneurship. After moving to Arizona in May of 2019, he began his entrepreneurial journey. Devin is working to build several small businesses that he started: Clear Cut Home Improvements, Clear Cut Events, and a community built to connect like-minded people, Arizona entrepreneurs. Each of these businesses has one thing in common: they are built around bringing people together. Being able to provide value to the community in various ways is something that inspires Devin to bring his vision to reality. And that's actually how we met, was through what he's trying to do is bring people together. So Devin, welcome. We're glad to have you on with us, and just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
For sure. Well, I want to thank you both and Heidi for allowing me to come here on the podcast and kind of share more about my story. I appreciate that. But yeah, kind of going off my bio. So I graduated from Davenport University, which is a college in Grand Rapids, Michigan, about a year ago, and then moved out to Arizona. Had to get out of the cold weather. But basically, as I said in the bio, I was very passionate about football, and that's really all that I cared about going through high school, all the way up till my sophomore year at college. And I had a knee injury. It wasn't anything traumatic, but it was something that kind of made me realize that I have to start coming to reality and think about things differently and what other things I'm passionate about. So I started dabbling with entrepreneurship, and I think it was Rich Dad Poor Dad that kind of gave me that paradigm shift. I'm not sure if you guys have read that book yet, but that book really, I had a paradigm shift with that book and started to think differently. So when I moved out here, my good friend and I, he's my current roommate and business partner, but we were good friends in college, and he moved out here with me. And so we started Clear Cut Home Improvements, which we both had prior background within the home improvement industry doing events marketing. So we started that business together, and we're basically finding more trusted and reliable companies here in the area, and then connecting with homeowners and helping them to find these trusted and reliable companies. And then, as you were saying, Jeff, Arizona Entrepreneurs is something that I started recently. And really what I'm just trying to do with that is to build a community of like-minded people, so we're able to connect with people that are thinking on the same wavelength. And essentially down the road, I also want to be able to provide resources for entrepreneurs in the area to succeed in business. So.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Rich Dad Poor Dad. I didn't read that till I was probably 10 years into entrepreneurship, but I'm a lot older than you are. But I'm curious, you had this idea in college. Where did you grow up in an entrepreneurial household, or?
No, I really didn't. And I feel like I've always been like a visionary and a dreamer, and always had these big ideas that I wanted to bring to reality. But I did not by any means grow up in an entrepreneurial household. But I do feel like throughout high school, I kind of started to think that way. I didn't know I was thinking that way, but I realized that business kind of made me, it sparked me essentially. And that's why I went into business, studied business in college. And then I kind of realized that it was more the entrepreneur side that I was passionate about.
So along that line, I've got a really important question to start off with: is what position did you play?
So I played safety in college. They converted me to a safety, but I was receiver in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can move on. I just need to know that. So what was it about entrepreneurship that really grabbed you? I mean, obviously you're already in the business program and stuff, but what did you like about entrepreneurship rather than going the traditional route?
Yeah. So one thing that I feel like that stuck with me from Rich Dad Poor Dad is trading your time for money. And ultimately I felt that any job that I went into, that I would, regardless how high I work up, I would ultimately always have to trade my time for money. And I saw entrepreneurship as a route to where I could essentially create assets by creating different businesses and getting to the point to where I could replace myself within the business and I don't have to always be trading my time for money. So that was one thing, but really just being able to, I've always been a visionary, and being able to bring a vision to reality is something that inspires me. So from every single step, getting the logo, the branding, the business cards, to like every single step it fulfills me, being able to see what I had in my head come to real life. So.
Does your business partner or you have a background in the home services industry? How did you pick that to be kind of your first thing to do?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So me and my business partner, we met and became good friends at the company that we worked for, which was a home improvement company. So we were events marketers for that company. We weren't necessarily in the home services background. It was more so the marketing side of things. But so we both knew the technical work. And I know I was talking to you, Jeff, about the E-Myth. And so we both knew the technical work. And then we started this business where we really only knew the technical work. And that's why it's still a learning curve. And we're learning a lot through it. But yeah, that's kind of why we went this route.
So what role have mentors played in your life? Obviously, you're well read on these things. We've talked about that. And I do want to talk more about that in a bit. But, when I look at mentors I've had, a number of them I would consider a lot of the authors I read have been mentors to me, but in, I guess, real life people that you have been able to follow, who have been some of your mentors and what have they done for you?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily in the business aspect. My mom has just always been a very supportive person of me. So it's not necessarily that she's mentoring me in like day-to-day business interactions, but she's helping me overall with just support. But it's honestly, that's a good question, because that's one thing I'm kind of seeking right now is a mentor, because me nor my business partner really have someone who's mentoring us and kind of took us under their wing. So I feel like the majority of the stuff that I'm learning and the guidance that I'm getting is from reading books, kind of like you said.
Well, let me and Heidi tell you about our Inner Circle Mastermind. No, that is, I mean, I attribute so much of my entrepreneurial knowledge from my mentors, and it is such a powerful thing, and it helps you avoid a lot of pitfalls and stuff. So it's definitely something that you need to be looking at. What about, I mean, you're young in your entrepreneurial journey. At this point, what has been your biggest success, and follow that with, or you can go either way, and what has been your biggest failure?
So, I mean, I'll start with the biggest failure, because like initially when we moved out here, we didn't start the home improvement company. We started a videography company, and it's quite humorous to talk about this story, even though we ended up losing a little bit of money and everything, and it was a failure, but it was a big learning lesson for both of us. So we started this videography company because we essentially thought it was cool, but neither of us really had a videography background, nor did we know the business side of videography. So, after a few months when we were just doing free gigs for people and realizing that the videos were not that great, we kind of decided we needed to go a different direction and do something we actually had some prior background to. So, I mean, it was a failure because we essentially stopped doing the business, but the lessons that we learned from it were tremendous. So that'd probably be
what have been the biggest lessons you learned from that?
Biggest lessons. One is to start a business where you have some type of knowledge, or a partner who has knowledge within the technical work, because that's one thing we didn't know the technical side at all, nor did we really know the business side for videography. So I feel like it's very important to do something that you kind of have some type of prior knowledge on. And as well as just learning the whole business process, because that was the first business we got the LLC for, had to deal with all that kind of stuff. So just learning the whole process of actually starting a business.
Awesome.
And then biggest success I would probably say was clear-cut home improvements, just like getting the partner company. So like initially we started just going to events and trade shows, and that's how we were generating leads. So just getting the partners that we have on board was probably a big success for us, because they were trusting in us to do business with us.
So are your partners in that respect, as you said, you get home service companies, mm-hmm. and you get people who would hire them, so that it's kind of almost like an Angie's List in a way?
Yeah, it's very similar to an Angie's
Okay.
List. Kind of how we're trying to differentiate ourselves we're strictly local here in Arizona.
Right.
And we're not trying to have like a ton of companies per project. We're keeping it very specific and having a few companies that we trust. So.
How do you vet the companies? How do you decide who gets on your list and who
Yeah.
doesn't?
Yeah, no, for sure. So we have like a whole process. We meet with some of the key people within the company. We do online research to see their reviews, their ratings, their Better Business Bureau ratings. Talk to some homeowners who have had projects done by them before. There's a lot of stuff we do to assure that it's a company we want to stand behind, because we're ultimately being represented by the company as well.
And then how are people finding you? Like if I'm like, I remodeled my home when we first bought it like 12 years ago, and I certainly could have used somebody like you. But how would I, if I was going to do that today, how would I know about you?
Yeah, and so that's one thing we're working on. See, we have a website and social media and everything along those lines, but online really is not our forte, neither me nor my business partner. So we're looking to grow online and to be able to reach more people online. But our main source was, like I was talking about before, the technical skills we know, which is events marketing. So we were going to a lot of different trade shows and events in the Valley, and that's kind of how we were connecting with homeowners.
Okay. Have you networked with realtor groups too? Because obviously, like I bought my house and then I asked my realtor who I want to remodel this. Who do I go to? That it seems like that would be a good connection.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something we're looking into. We don't have like a big realtor group that we're working with yet. We have a few like solo realtors that we've discussed this with, but that's definitely a route that we're looking to go.
Okay.
Very cool. So tell me more about Arizona entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story actually, because I was, this was only a couple months ago. I think it was early March, but I was just driving around, and for my own personal Instagram, I was looking to connect with more people, more like entrepreneurs here in Arizona. So I literally just typed in Arizona entrepreneurs in the Instagram handle and nothing came up. So I thought that was kind of funny. So then I decided, I was like, oh, I might as well get the username. But then I actually started thinking deeper about it, and like a vision that I had for Arizona entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is really what lights me up. That's what I'm passionate about. So I wanted to create an organization to where I could build connections myself, as well as connect like-minded people in the area. So I plan on doing that and having networking events once things start to open back up. And, down the road, as we continue to grow, being able to provide more resources to help entrepreneurs grow here in the area.
Go ahead, Heidi.
Jeff. I was just saying, I know, just it made me think of like to do it like, is that like a meetup group?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're going to, a way of maybe doing it to get it started, meetup groups?
Definitely. That's probably initially how we'll start up, using the meetup platform to advertise and to get people to come to the event for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
That's all right.
So what's your vision? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
5 years, I would like to have like a board of directors. So I talked to a few other entrepreneur groups here in the Phoenix area and kind of see how they're structured. So I would like to have like a board of directors and like key people in the business that are helping me to grow it. And I would also ultimately like to be able to host quite a few events per month and have some type of inner circle group where I'm, connecting like-minded people, as well as one big thing for the future. I feel like it's very important that I'm able to provide resources for entrepreneurs. So whether that's like pitch competitions, mentors, different things that can help entrepreneurs to succeed in business. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, and I'm still trying to develop that in my mind as far as what it's going to look like down the road. But I definitely have a few ideas as far as what I want it to.
Cool. And sorry, tell me your partner's name again.
Yeah, so he's my partner for Clear Cut Home Improvements. That's Tom.
Clear Cut. Okay, yeah. Tom.
Yeah.
And so what's his background? I know you work together.
Yeah.
But so is his education in business as well? Is that how this kind of came together?
Yeah, so it's funny because we both kind of started thinking the same way at the same time. And I feel like it was through that company we worked for, because there was a lot of people in that company that were thinking the same way we were, like had the whole entrepreneur mindset essentially, but we didn't know it yet. So we kind of connected in that aspect early on when we started working together. But he has an advertising background. He graduated from Grand Valley State with an advertising degree. But essentially the skills he has and really what he is good at, I'm good at as well, which I know is not always good within a partnership because we're both good at the same things, which could cause problems, but we are very similar minded in that aspect.
Okay.
So you've just gone about looking for the things, maybe, I don't know, accounting, bookkeeping, all that stuff. Are you still trying to do everything yourself? I know Jeff and I, we've had this conversation with a lot of people. It's kind of like how you start out trying to do everything yourself, and then you realize it's keeping you from doing what you're really good at.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, we're definitely starting to realize that ourselves. And like accounting, we do have an accountant that we work with, so we're not doing all that ourselves. But as far as like I was telling you guys before, the online aspect of the business, that's something that's gibberish to us. We don't know all that. So we are looking at, we're in discussion with someone right now to like help us out with the online side of things. So that's kind of our first step towards, delegating some of the work and taking a step out of the stuff we don't know how to do.
Cool. So just taking a step back in the conversation a bit, we've talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We've talked about E-Myth. Tell me about your take on personal development, self-education, some of the things you've done. And I mean, we've already talked about 2 books, but probably besides those ones, what have been the most influential in your past so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like personal development, that's just another area that I'm very passionate about because, like I said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was the book that changed my mindset. And I realized what one book could do to the way that I think about life. And I still carry the things that I learned with that today. So, and I'm always trying to push Rich Dad, Poor Dad on everybody I encounter. So, but no, I just feel like it's very important to continuously learn and to try to gain more knowledge, because each and every book I realize, I normally take, a few key pieces of information, and each piece, they just come up in different areas of life, and I see how important it is to know this stuff. So I feel like personal development is an important role that, whether you're in business or if you're not, it's very important to continuously educate yourselves and not get comfortable. And then, yeah, another book that I read, there's two other books that I read that I feel like were very influential. One was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
yeah.
I feel like that one really taught me how to talk to people, to actually listen and to understand how people are thinking. And then another one was Extreme Ownership. I don't know if you guys have read that one or not.
Yep. That one's great.
It was a great book. Really helps you to think. And, I'm not completely in a leadership role yet, but the things that I learned from that, once I do get more in a leadership role, it really teaches you how to be an effective leader. So.
And then another thing, I guess, that we also comes up on our discussions with this is mindset. And so do you read things like, Think and Grow Rich, or any of the things about, how much of it is up here?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I read Think and Grow Rich, and I think that was another one in college that really, it went hand in hand with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and helped me to think in a different way. So I do think mindset is very important, because like my mindset, sorry about that. But yeah, my mindset before reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad was not anywhere near where it was after I read the book. So I feel like it, that whole mindset aspect is very important to start thinking in the right way.
Definitely. It really is it's a huge asset as you're, especially in the entrepreneurial journey, because you do have so many hurdles to face along the way. And when you've got the right mindset, it's just so much easier.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Heidi.
No, I was just going to say, because like when I was in college, which was in the early 80s, Think and Grow Rich was out, but I didn't even hear about that book until I was, much later in life. And so when you were taking business and everything in college, did they teach any of this stuff, any mindset, any entrepreneur skills? It's just pretty much like the business basics still.
Yeah. And that's one thing that like still frustrates me about like traditional education, because like, it wasn't until I started reading that I started to think this way and learn these different things, because throughout college, I feel, they just teach you the basic fundamentals of business, what marketing is, what accounting is, how to do it. So yeah, I think it's important to self-educate versus just, the traditional route.
Right. And then as an athlete, because I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
No, as an athlete, because I played basketball for LSU, and I know that was one of my first exposures to the concept of visualization. Were you taught that in football? Did they taught, or you visualize how things are going to be and try to, have that outcome already in your mind before you play the game?
Yeah, definitely. That's something they talk to us a lot about in football, like just positively visualizing how the game's going to be the night before, as well as like before the first snap and everything. So I feel like that was a very important, aspect in helping me to become a visionary. Maybe I don't know where I kind of got that from, but I am always thinking about the big picture and visualizing. So maybe it was from that.
Well, it was a tool, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It was a piece of the puzzle, maybe.
Exactly.
This podcast is on YouTube, but then it's on a bunch of podcast platforms where you don't see the video. But I like this because every time Heidi mentions that she played at LSU, you had the same reaction as everybody. It's like, just like, really? And kind of step up and
That's fun.
Yes.
But yeah,
many moons ago.
I spoke at a summit this weekend, and if you know who Sarah Blakely is, creator of Spanx, one of the things that was a big factor in her life, because she is huge into personal development and self-education. When she was 16 years old, her dad came in her room. Her parents had just split and her dad was leaving, and he came in and threw Wayne Dyer's how to be a no limit person, because series on her bed. And she says, most 16-year-olds probably would have thrown it in the bottom of their closet and never looked at it. But she was at a very fragile point in her life, and she absorbed it. And, she says, all 12 tapes, I had them memorized front and back. And it was to the point that we'd be at a party and everyone would be like, let's not get a ride home with her. She's going to make us listen to all that crap. And then she says, 15 years later, I'm on the front of Forbes, and wow. I get texts from my old high school friends. Maybe we should have listened to some of that. But someone like her, just talking about how important that mindset is and how important personal development is to create that mindset. It just attests to what she was able to do. She started declaring and asking herself the questions on what she was going to develop 2 years prior to ever having the idea of Spanx. And it was just constantly, staying motivated, asking those questions and keeping on top of those things, that when the opportunity finally presented itself, she was ready for it. But, even after all the success that she's had, she is such a advocate of personal development, self-education. She's got an awesome story.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I know I went through a time when, I was struggling through some thought processes, and somebody gave me the book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's written by Catherine Ponder. She was actually a Unity minister. And I was like, what, and I started reading, and I really I still have the book, and I've got like sticky notes on each page that where something stood out to me. But it was another spin on Think and Grow Rich or anything else. But it was something, like I said, I really wasn't exposed to that too much later in life. So you're really blessed to get a nice early start on all of this.
For sure.
But that's another book that, like I said, it seems almost simplistic. It was actually written in the 50s. Okay. And so it's kind of funny. Every man in the book is like an engineer and every woman's like a housewife, which is kind of funny. But the principles and what they did to change their circumstances in life or to create what they wanted in life would translate into anything. So it's a pretty cool book.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you look at books like that, and you look at Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People. They're principles that don't change. And, those books are ancient, but they're still some of the most popular books around because what it teaches is so important. And I think I agree with what you're saying, Heidi, is even for myself, entrepreneurship was my major. And I had one class that was structured around the book, The 7 Habits. Other than that, we had no books that we really focused on at all. And so if you're watching on video, you can see part of my library behind me. That's all been on my own. And I think I've probably gained more out of that than I ever gained out of college. So I think the self-education part is so huge. And there's so much information out there that is able to help you avoid so many of the pitfalls that you're going to run into if you don't have those mentors in those ways.
Definitely.
Well, let's look at, tell us how we can anyone that's listening, how they can stay in touch with you, how they can find you, and how they can learn more about things like Arizona Entrepreneurs and what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the best place to reach me out would probably be Arizona Entrepreneurs, which it's that simple. It's Arizona Entrepreneurs is the username. So no underscores.
And that's on Instagram, but is
Yep.
it anywhere else as well?
So it's just on Instagram right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I am looking to expand and get a Facebook group going and stuff like that. So yeah, Arizona Entrepreneurs on Instagram, and then also Clear Cut Home Improvements. You can just find us at our website, which is just www.clearcuthomeimprovements.com. So those are probably the two best areas to contact me.
Okay. And we'll have those links in the show notes too, so people can just click on them there. But hey, thank you for being on with us. It's been nice getting to know you a little bit better. And, hopefully, Heidi and I are both here in Arizona. So as things develop with Arizona Entrepreneurs, we'd love to support you and help you build that and do anything we can on that side.
Yeah, and you really should look at joining our mastermind because, there are, it's entrepreneurs. Not everybody is in Arizona, but we have people that are that create websites and do marketing and are coaches and mindset people, and so you might find somebody to connect with, and you might be able to bring a lot of value to it as well from what you know.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely sounds like something I'm interested in, and yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for having me on here. I'm humbled by the opportunity, so thanks both for having me here.
Oh, it was great. Thank you, Devin.
Of course.
I can send you some information, Devin, but it's at jeffheggie.com, and you can find the Inner Circle Mastermind on there. And, like Heidi said, this goes right along with what you're looking to do as well, because there's so much that has happened within that mastermind. There's a couple people on there that I knew previously, but even Heidi and myself, we met, I think, in LinkedIn.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
We're trying to remember. Like we met, I think, like late November or something, and by January we were doing a show together. So
yeah,
that's
and
you just never know.
There's so many people within that mastermind that didn't know each other before, and now they're doing business with each other. They're doing work for one another, and it's exactly what you're trying to do, is bringing people together and giving them opportunities to grow what they're doing and find the resources they need. So definitely. I really commend you for what you're doing. But yeah, thanks for being on the show. It's been awesome, and good luck.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
You bet.
Thanks, Devin.
All right.
Hey, thanks for being with us. I hope you enjoyed that episode and you got a lot of value out of it. Please subscribe and make sure you don't miss any future episodes. And please come visit our websites, jeffheggie.com and ecibfs.com. Thanks again for being with us, and hope to see you next time.